following contains spoilers regarding Yu-Gi-Oh! The Dark Side of Dimensions movie. If you have not seen the movie, if you plan to see the movie, then get on out of here because there are tons of spoilers that I am about to reveal. You have been warned. Sup guys, Yami Sorceress here, and we are doing something very special today. I literally just walked in through the door from watching the new movie of Yu-Gi-Oh! The Dark Side of Dimensions. And wow, just an amazing time on so many different levels. Mostly because I had the theater all to myself. So I'm going to give my review and a few spoilers on the movie, what I thought about it. At the end, I will give you pretty much my full-blown critique. But in the meantime, the whole entire movie, I was pretty much just writing in this wonderful notebook all my thoughts and whatever on the movie. So let's get to it. We also have here my ticket, my tiny little stub ticket of $12.25. My God, these movies today are becoming too expensive. But the moment we pretty much all go for, you get your free obelisk card. I'm so happy. So I did not open this yet. I'm going to save this for the end of the review for all of us to enjoy together as a happy family. But in the meantime, here you go. If your movie theater does hand these out, and I'm pretty sure the majority of places are giving these out if you buy a ticket, because I live in a very small town in Florida. I was very surprised that they were giving these out. Thank you. But when you do get yours, it's going to be nice silver. I have the Yu-Gi-Oh! Dark Side of Dimensions. It says Obelisk the Tormentor in there, and also not for sale at the bottom. Do not ask me if I can use these in the official Yu-Gi-Oh! Game. Probably not, because all God cards are banned. That is correct. I know that for a fact. So let's get to it. I will show a couple of clips from the trailers every now and then, but since I don't have the movie myself, I can't really entertain you guys with specifics from the movie. You just have to go out there and watch it yourself and take my word for it. So my biggest problem with the movie, let's just start out with a big negative. I can't stand the English voices. I can't stand them.
Hey! That there on your arm, is that the new dual disc?
Yes, it is. But you can't have it. You're not worthy.
It is like chalk just being put through your teeth over and over again, and it gives me a headache. But I'm like this on a lot of animes. Yu-Gi-Oh! Though, it's so over-dramatic in so many cases. And because of these voices, there's tons of little jokes and puns that are thrown throughout the movie. And I enjoy these immensely. It's one of those things if you don't really laugh about it, you're really rolling your eyes about it. But for sure, it's worth going to the movies and seeing this just to roll your eyes at these comments.
If you're as graceful as you are with those chopsticks, you'll make it for sure.
But like, it first opens where Yugi and Taya, they arrive at school and Bakura is just showered in fangirls, which I don't really remember Bakura really being hounded by fangirls too much in the anime series. Little bit in the manga, not so much, but they really just took it away with the movie. So of course with Bakura's really big accent, really big English accent, first big pun of the movie is Yugi, I believe it's Yugi. Yugi says about Bakura, oh, it must be that accent. It's why the reason all the girls are surrounding him. So yes, there's a lot of jokes regarding Bakura's accent in this movie. Be prepared for it. And, yeah, that accent is just so thick. So the movie takes place about 6 to 8 months into the future. Not a long period of time since Atom left, but I put this up in one of my blogs on yamisorceress.com, but everyone just went through puberty in these 6 to 8 months immensely. Yugi, for example, his eyes are just slanted. He's becoming more like Atem, and I like that. I like that he's kind of taking in the shoes of his darker self while still being his own person in a way. But everyone else, yeah, the Mokuba. Let's hold the phone here. Mokuba has changed the absolute most. When I first saw a picture of him when they announced this movie, I'm like, who the hell is this? Did Kaiba somehow adopt another brother? No, it's Mokuba. To be fair, though, I think Mokuba looks really nice, and he's one of those voices that I can stand. It's not too bad. And he seems to have matured a lot. Really, the only person who hasn't changed almost at all is Seto Kaiba. I don't know what type of cream anti-aging stuff that his company is forming, but he looks the same. So the whole movie and the beginning is based around everyone's getting ready for graduation. Surprisingly, Yugi is the class speaker. We'd have never saw that coming. He's not really valedictorian. I guess it's because of his stand as Duelist King that he gets to be the class speaker. So good job, Yugi. But they're all huddled around in a group at one point. They're eating their lunch. They're discussing what they're doing for their future. So Atem has moved on, and they themselves are trying to move on as well and to go and accomplish their own dreams. Taya, or Anzu as you know her in the Japanese version, well, still the same. She wants to be a dancer. She got accepted to a study abroad in the United States, and she's going and achieving her dream at some point over there. And Tristan, well, Tristan's not too happy. Tristan quotes that he is going to work at his dad's factory. We do not exactly know what type of factory this is. In my mind, I just thought that everything in Domino and the Domino world, as we'll call it, is just run by Kaiba Corporation. I didn't even know that other people had their own companies. And Joey, we all do love him in his Brooklyn accent, is that he just wants to be the best duelist in the world. So go for Joey. He is the comedy relief of this movie, and I do wish that they added a little more to his character for this movie, because he doesn't duel at all in the movie, which is kind of a surprise. Not really, but you would have thought that we would at least get to see the Red Eyes in action. And Yugi's dream is to create games. So in one way, he's kind of being like Mr. Pegasus in a way, that he wants to create his own games so that all of his friends and him can gather around the table, and really the friendship continues. Really, it's the whole point about this movie, the whole series, is that friendship will defeat everything. Taya, you had a point, but good God, girl, I cannot get through. I can't get through your voice. Really, the only person that we have no clue what they're going to do with their life at all is Bakura. Bakura's in that group. He never says what he's going to do, but the kid is really depressed and messed up. No offense to the Bakura fans out there. I love Bakura, but you have to admit, there's something a little off, and we do get more of this in the movie. But for the most part, he's kind of the damsel in distress in this movie most of the time. So there's a bunch of little things in this movie that don't really make too much sense dialogue-wise. For instance, and this has a lot to do with translating from the Japanese to the English, but when the group comes back from their lunch and they go into their classroom, this is the first time that we get to see Aigami, and this is the main villain in the movie. We really won't call him a villain. Really, they're talking and they're saying, "Who's that kid? Oh, he's been in our class for a year and no one can remember his name for the first few minutes," until finally someone says, "Oh, I remember, his name's Aigami." What is the use of that whole entire 2 minutes of trying to figure out the kid's name? There's just random little things like that. Moving on. So before I forget, is that Aigami is not his real name. He does have, like, his childhood name or whatever, called Diva. I feel like I'm playing Overwatch, but for the sake of the rest of this review, I am going to refer to Diva as Aigami because I like that name more. Granted, it was just a name to kind of infiltrate the Japanese school system and to get to be with Yugi, etc., etc. I just like Aigami much more than Diva. Now, best voice, hands down, is Aigami. I cannot believe I would have ever liked any sort of English voice, but his voice is so melodious. I don't know why it attracts me so much. I just want whoever voice acts this person, please come sit down right here and just read to me. I don't care what you read, just pick up a book and read it. So I'm going to throw out just some random quotes every now and then. These are mostly the funny puns in here, but Aigami, as usual, any new kid that arrives in Domino High School, they're pretty much bullied. So as he goes to the bullies, and he has a cube We're going to call it the Millennium Cube because there's really no name for it. Anyway, this Millennium Cube is pretty much going to destroy our world, and it causes a bunch of problems in the movie and in Yugi's life and Seto's life, etc. But this magical cube that I am magically holding for some reason, here, magical cube, this cube has a function called Plana. And Plana is basically a magical power that Aigami, and later on we see his sister Sarah, have, along with a ton of little kids in the background that you see. Anyway, this cube pretty much makes people disappear completely. All their memories get lost, and then they fizzle out of time and existence, and no one remembers them, and it's very depressing. So anyway, the first use of this is when Aigami is being bullied, and he's taking the lead bully's energy, memories, whatever, and the person's disappearing. So one of the random guys with the bully says, "Oh no, he is history!" And then Aigami replies, "No, history is remembered." And I love that quote. Yeah. So pretty much the bully doesn't exist anymore. Moving on. So the first major duel that we have, it's more of a simulation between Seto and Atem. And how the simulation works is that Kaiba, God, I don't know where he gets this money. He creates a computer that somehow reads his memories so that his memories are extracted so that you can see Atem in front of him. He can have all the cards that he knows in his deck, what the pharaoh will play next, and it's pretty much just going off of your memories. So of course, let's just think of it as a dream. Well, Kaiba beats Yami in his dreams. Just trying to leave it up to a joke on that. But supposedly, the name of this is called all of his memories are uploaded to the Crystal Cloud Network. There's a Apple Mac reference in there. So from the start, sure, we get to see Yugi and his gang, and they're all happy. They're taking Atem's leave of absence in stride. Sure, they miss him, but they're slowly getting over it. They're going towards their dreams. Seto. He cannot get over it at all. The whole entire movie, just be prepared, he is out searching for the Millennium Puzzle, trying to put the Millennium Puzzle back together, all to see Atem again and duel him. Obsession to the extreme. It's almost to the fact that it's creepy stalker. So this is where Aigami comes in. And Aigami is known as the villain in the movie, but he's really not a villain per se. So what we learn is that Aigami shows up just randomly in Yugi's last year of high school in his class. But he came from a really bad background. He was a kid with his sister in ancient Egypt growing up, and no parents. He was pretty much used as a slave to go and get his master money. And then one day, Master Shin comes to the house. That's all that, besides Aigami and his sister, more kids are in there being slaves. So Master Shin comes, takes them all out, and everything seems happy. And Master Shin starts to teach these kids about the power of Plana. So to make this as simple as possible, Plana is pretty much the power to make a whole new world that is nice, loving. There's no hate, there's no darkness or whatever. But like all powers comes great responsibility, whatever the quote is that there's always going to be that doubt, that person that becomes corrupt, and yeah, so Plana can go bad and we can just have a really bad world, as we kind of see in the end of the movie. So just to get this big spoiler out of the way, warning, Master Shin is shoddy. So shoddy is pretty much the same from his starting point in ancient Egypt alongside the pharaoh. He pretty much just looks the same, but now his whole role for this movie is to be with these kids to teach them how to use the power of Plana. And he tells them that once the pharaoh is resurrected, their Plana will go away. But if he is not resurrected again, then they can keep their Plana and still have their magical powers. So pretty much their magical powers, they can make people disappear in the sense that all their memories fade away and then no one can remember them anymore. So it's a really sad death in a way. You pretty much just did not come into existence. So going back to the thing on if the Pharaoh is resurrected once more, then all the plan will go away and then they lose their powers. Well, obviously, now Seto Kaiba is the enemy because his main mission, grab the puzzle pieces, put it all back together, and have Atem come back to life again. So Aigami just really hates Seto, and one of the first main duels that you will see is Aigami versus Seto Kaiba. And they're in the ancient Egyptian tomb where Atem and all the puzzle pieces fall down to the bottom, never to be seen again. Well, of course, Seto Kaiba, with all of his goody money, somehow manages to get all of them back. So this is the first real duel of the Yu-Gi-Oh movie. And with any sort of Yu-Gi-Oh movie, there is always going to be a new dueling method. This one, it's called Dimension Dueling. Duh! This stresses me out because I can't explain Dimension Dueling. But in my opinion, they did this so that season 1 can be explained. Remember the days when Kaiba would just summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon, no sacrifices whatsoever? Yeah, we're back to that stage. So he could pretty much just summon whatever without sacrificing. And then there's rules in between that I need to watch that movie 1,000 times more before I understand it. The point is you could summon a monster without any sacrifices. Kick ass. So, of course, Seto still has his typical Blue Eyes White Dragon deck. And oh boy, so many dragons. He summons nothing but dragons, fair warning. Not like that's new. Now, Aigami, of course, he has that cube thing that he's carrying around, so his deck has to go with that. It's cube structured. All his monsters are cubes. With 0 attack, which I'm still trying to figure out how he wins these duels. But what is interesting in this duel is that Aigami seems like he is about to win. And Seto Kaiba, at the very last second, thrusts his hands to the ground and summons Obelisk the Tormentor. Now let's hold up a second. We all know that the God cards disappeared after the ending of the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Series, and that they were pretty much buried with the Pharaoh. So how, in God's name, did Seto even get Obelisk the Tormentor? There's actually an answer to this. Is that, please, Seto Kaiba is the high priest, was the high priest in the ancient past. Of course he can somehow manage to get Obelisk the Tormentor. So this does surprise Aigami even, but please, doesn't surprise the rest of us. This is why we have this amazing card. So by the end of this first duel, Seto Kaiba and Mokuba, they're taking all of the puzzle pieces back with them to try and put the puzzle back together. Aigami goes badass and steals 2 pieces of the puzzle so that they can't complete it. Therefore, the Pharaoh cannot be resurrected so that he can keep his power, etc. And thus, Kaiba tries to put it back together on his ridiculous space station, to then find out, yeah, there's 2 pieces missing. But yes, going back to that fact, is that how much money does this man own? And why isn't he in charge of the world? He probably is, but he needs a title to it. So he has this big-ass space station just hanging out in space. I don't even know what it is for, but he goes all the way there with all the pieces of the puzzle to try and assemble it himself. And get this, he makes a computer to assemble the puzzle. And now we're going to go back a little bit to a quote that Mokuba and Kaiba exchanged to one another when they were first digging up the puzzle and getting all the pieces. So Kaiba is under the impression he's going to put it back together. Well, Mokuba says to him, "You do realize that it took Yugi 8 years to assemble the puzzle." Kaiba's nice response is, "That's because Yugi is a simple-minded child." Well, bam! So now jump forward, is that Kaiba built a computer in order to assemble the puzzle. I don't know if that is lazy or dedication, but why would you call Yugi a simple-minded child? He built that with his hands and brain, not a computer. So while Kaiba is now freaking out that he's missing 2 pieces of the puzzle, but he does know that Aigami has it, we're getting some backstory, mostly on Aigami. And his sister, Sarah, is pretty much going to Yugi in hopes of Yugi to kind of save her brother. So it always starts like this in some story, how the brother was so nice, so wonderful, and then all of a sudden the darkness consumed his heart one day. It always happens that way. So same thing with Aigami. So Aigami and his sister, along with a whole bunch of other kids, once again, they are with Master Shin, or as we now know him as Shadi, in order to teach them all about the power of Plana and to do well. And the whole thing is that Shadi says to the kids, a child's judgment has not been consumed by hate. And this is why he sought them out, that they have goodness. They are children, they are not corrupt by society yet, that they see the good in everything around them. So I really like that. But it's once they start to grow up and when they start going into these hardships as adulthoods that kind of the evil and the darkness come into your soul. So really, this is why Shadi chose children with respect to teaching them how to use Plana or bestow the Plana upon them. Well, this is where things get sad and interesting, mostly on Aigami's respect. So throughout the whole movie, Aigami is just worshipping Master Shin. And I can see why, of course, the master took him in and was teaching him and cared for him. And then we get some very good backstory on Bakura, of all people. We see a flashback of Bakura and his father. Yes, the father actually shows up, going to ancient Egypt, and the father is such a douche. So the father's only main mission is to find the Millennium Ring, and he goes in to where Shadi and the children are, and Shadi and the children are next to the stone tablet with all 7 of the Millennium items. Well, the ring is in there. So Bakura's father begs for the ring. Well, Shadi just says, okay, fine, you don't know what you're getting yourself into, you stupid idiot. So here you go. Okay, so the ring obviously rejects Bakura's father, and Bakura's father pretty much dies. Rest in peace, you crusty old bastard. And now here's where it gets sad and interesting, is that little Bakura tags along with his father, without him knowing, sees the whole traumatic thing, goes over, rushes to his father saying, Daddy, don't die, don't leave me, what happened? I need to make more of a British accent, but I'm not going to try. Anyway, he goes over to the Millennium Ring. The Millennium Ring obviously responds and possesses him. So this really opens up a lot of backstory that we didn't know about Bakura. Bakura was possessed as a tiny child, way before Yugi even. Well, poor Bakura, now that he is, well, pretty much becoming Yami Bakura, which, by the way, Yami Bakura, as like inside the little child body of Bakura, is adorable. Freaky, but adorable. Well, anyway, mini Yami Bakura pretty much shoots power at Shadi, and Shadi dies in front of all the kids, and this just warps Aigami completely, seeing the whole death of his master, and this is where the hate goes in, and then the whole Plana thing goes out of control. Now he's pretty much bent on destroying everything because he believes everything is evil. So we're going to brush through this because you all can watch it yourself. But let's just say Aigami goes insane and is now under the impression of, to make the pharaoh not be resurrected, is that he has to kill off Yugi, so the host of Yami. In conclusion, now he's kind of going off to try and kill Yugi. And now he's going to start with his friends. First, it's Bakura and Joey. So a lot of Aigami's hate is directed at Bakura because, well, Bakura was possessed by the ring. Wasn't his fault, but Bakura pretty much killed off Master Shin. So immediately Aigami just transports Bakura as well as Joey to their own sorrowful dimension. And in this dimension, it's pretty much they're trapped within their own memories, and everything starts to fizzle around them, so they're losing their memories, so that all of a sudden, you pretty much don't exist, no one remembers you, it's quite tragic. So Joey is the only person that somehow manages to get out of this death trap, and we all know how he did it. It's the power of friendship, everyone. Where's Taya? Taya, I need you here. Right before Joey is about to disappear and die, or whatever it is, I think in the English version we have to say be sentenced to the Shadow Realm, is that Yami appears right before him and pretty much takes him out of that dimension and puts him back into normal planet Earth. normal dimension where we are. Bakura, on the other hand, is still trapped in there, and we really don't see a lot of what's going on in Bakura's own sorrowful dimension. We just know that he is missing, and Yugi finds out because Joey goes and runs to him and says, "Oh, this is what happened to me." So now this gives Yugi the excuse to go and duel Aigami in order to get Bakura back. But there's also something else going on, and it goes with Aigami's sister, Sarah, which I really wish that they would give her a little bit more screen time. So Sarah does not like the fact that Aigami's being ruled by hatred, consumed by his soul, whatever, we're going through that. So she goes to Yugi to say, "Please save my brother." And left out a big part in this is that because Aigami stole 2 pieces of the puzzle, so Seto Kaiba can't put it back together, he gave one of those pieces to his sister to hold, so that sure, Seto Kaiba knows that Aigami has 1 piece. He thought he had 2, but keep one of the other pieces safe. Sarah gives the piece back to Yugi and says, "I need you to go and save my brother, so please take this piece." But here's the stupid part, is that if you really did not want the puzzle to be put back together, Sarah probably should have held on to that piece, because I don't believe Seto ever met Sarah, ever even looked at her, even knew about her, whatever. Because at some point, Seto finds out that Yugi has the other piece. He captures Aigami and says, "You have to come duel me in this new exclusive tournament." And the big prize is all the puzzle pieces, put it back together to get Atom back. It's such a weird tournament idea. Just, invite them to your mansion. Don't spend taxpayers' money. Well, anyway, Seto somehow realizes that Yugi has the other piece, not Sarah, and he quote here, "I know everything that goes on in Domino." You have too much money, man. So yes, back to this whole tournament thing, is that true, Seto is mostly concentrated on putting back the puzzle, but in the meantime, he's created this ultra new dual disc system that he's bragging about, and he wants to hold a tournament for it to reveal it, and everyone gets to go and pretty much just bow down to Seto Kaiba. It's what every tournament is for. But at the end of the movie, it's pretty much everyone is gathered in Kaiba Corporation Studios Coliseum. We'll call it the Kaiba Corp Coliseum, in order to watch this tournament. It's not a tournament. It's 3 people. It's Aigami, Yugi, and Seto. And he announces to the whole crowd, the main prize is the puzzle. Now hold up. Does the world even know about the Millennium Puzzle and how Yugi would transform into another person when he put the puzzle on? Or that he was even two separate people to begin with? This is where things get weird. So why is Kaiba telling the audience that it is the grand prize? Who the hell cares? If I were an audience member and like here's Seto Kaiba holding up the Millennium Puzzle and saying, "Oh, these 2 have the 2 last pieces and I'm gonna put the puzzle together." Well, yay you, dude. So this is where dueling just takes off immediately. The first to duel is Yugi and Aigami. Aigami is once again using his cube deck. Yugi, on the other hand, he's using monsters that we saw in the first season of Yu-Gi-Oh! So we do see the Silent Swordsman, we see Gaia the Fierce Knight, but their names have changed a little bit, and they're like more enhanced forms of these cards. I think that they are. And of course the Dark Magician shows up. But if you look at all the monsters, every single one of them looks a little bit different. Sure, you could pick them out, but the creators went back and just redid most of the monsters to make them look a little bit different. And I do like this touch. Now, it wouldn't be a Yu-Gi-Oh! Movie, so of course Yugi had to win the battle against Aigami. So Yugi pretty much keeps the promise with Sarah, kind of wakes Aigami up from his stupid selfishness and say, "Look, not everything can be happy-go-lucky in a world. We need to have some hatred and whatever in the world in order for it to be made our world, and what you're doing is wrong." So he manages to beat Aigami very, very closely. Big, intense duel. It was another dimensional duel of you could just summon whatever. I can't understand the dueling anything. from my point of view, is that I'm pretty sure I can win anything here. I summon a random pillow with 5,000 attack points. I attack. Whoa, I win. So Yugi wins, Aigami's depressed, and he goes and disappears back into his own dimension, and he feels sorry for himself, and he's walking around all depressed and whatever. Now comes the next duel. Of course, the one we've all been waiting for. It's Yugi versus Kaiba, and Kaiba starts out like a little bitch. Kaiba pretty much waltzes up to Yugi before the duel even starts, and says that he doesn't want to battle Yugi, just at him, and just to put the pieces already into the puzzle so that he can battle his former self. I mean, God! Yugi proved himself. Fight the damn man already. So, of course, eventually Seto and Yugi, they do duel, and yeah, everything just goes insane. But it is back to a normal duel status, so you do have to sacrifice and whatnot. So I bring these two figures out because, yeah, they've been pretty much like the starring girls or whatever revolving around this new movie. Yugi has always had a magician's deck, so now we're just adding more girls to it. Now, I will put this on the screen, is that there are more than one magician girls. Of course, there's the dark magician girl, and the lemon magician girl, and the apple magician girl. But these three that I've mentioned, these are the only ones that show up in the movie. So it makes sense now why they only made figures of just these two new magician girls and not the others. Because you don't see the others at all in the movie. It's a disappointment. So I think I can claim now that they are not going to make any more magician girl figures. Sorry guys, they did not show up in the movie. But I also have to state that they were not on the screen long at all. The lemon magician girl may be on for 5 seconds. Apple, 10 to 15 seconds. Even the dark magician girl, she showed up a couple of times, but maybe less than a minute at that, and yet they still got figures made of them. Impressive. Okay, so once again, Yugi's deck is all about the magicians. We even see the new dark magician. He's still called the dark magician. He just looks a bit different. He's not in his usual purple attire. Kaiba, on the other hand, of course he has a dragon deck. Every single monster that we see is nothing but a dragon. There's so many blue eyes, so many varieties. There's the blue eyes chaos white dragon. There's the blue eyes ultimate white dragon. There's some other blue eyes thing. There's I'm going to pronounce this wrong. Debai's white dragon. There are so many of these white dragons. What happened to the original looking one? And of course, with this, we have the puns between Yugi and Kaiba during the duel. And it's like every time that Yugi destroys a dragon, Kaiba has to say something along the lines of, "It doesn't seem like you like my dragons." But then the best one is when Yugi summons the apple and the lemon magician girl, is that Kaiba says, "You fight me with fruit." Probably my favorite line. So close to the end of the duel, and Yugi is not doing well at all, but at some point, Yugi takes the two pieces that he already has, the one that he already got from Sarah, and the one that he won from Aigami in his last duel, and he takes the puzzle and he puts it together. And nothing happens. The reason being is that he wanted to show Kaiba that no matter what, Atom is not coming back, and that pretty much you have to move on. And once all the pieces are clicked together and nothing happens, the look on Seto Kaiba's face, I mean, this poor guy, it was the ultimate, oh my God. I can't even explain it. So now we move on to like a huge jump. We're going to focus on Aigami. So while Seto and Yugi are dueling, Aigami is in his own dimensional world. He's crying, he's whatever, he's so depressed that he failed his master or whatever. He stumbles upon the Millennium Ring, and because of how depressed and beaten down he is, the Millennium Ring immediately just attaches to his soul, and Aigami pretty much becomes the ultimate badass. It's not really Bakura that's still around or alive, just the evil spirit of the Millennium Ring in general just harbors now in Aigami's soul, and he turns into a giant monster. So we all know what happens without even watching the movie, the monster comes into this world and immediately just starts killing people by like taking up all their memories and their souls, and the world just starts to disappear around them. So now comes the big moment where there is a double duel. Yugi and Kaiba have to team up to defeat Big Monster thing that I don't have over here. Big Monster hand monster. So pretty much they are fighting what I'm going to be calling Yami Aigami. And guess what? The Shadow Games are back. So now we went from Dimensional Duel to regular duel to Shadow Game duel. And pretty much the rules are the same as always, is that if you lose in a Shadow Game, you pretty much die. Well, that sucks. Now here's where it gets interesting, is that this would never have occurred, is that Seto sacrifices himself in the tag duel to save Yugi. So originally, Yugi was supposed to die first, so that the attack from Yami Aigami was aimed right at Yugi. Well, Seto pulled up a trap card, reversed the attack to him, and Seto dies. Let's take a moment here. And okay, yes, it was a bit of a selfish move, and while Yugi's like kneeling next to him saying, "Why, Kaiba, why did you do this?" Seto's response is that he did it for the Pharaoh, or that he did it for him. So even after all this time, he knows that Yami is not coming back. He's still kind of fighting for him. So in one way, Kaiba has learned friendship in a screwed up manner, but he has learned about it, that he treasures Yami so much that he would really like save his vessel, Yugi, and kill himself before Yugi is to go. To me, I find that touching. So Yugi's all alone now, and he has I think he has 200 or 100 life points left, and he has to draw one more card in order to pretty much save himself. Everyone else is dead, pretty much around him. He is dying as well. He can't even stay conscious because his life points are 100. So he's drawing his last card, and he falls. So he's all out of energy. And the moment we have all been waiting for. Please, it would not be a Yu-Gi-Oh movie if we did not get to see Atem, Yami, however you want to call him now, come back. And he does. In Super Saiyan mode. I'm not joking. If I find a picture on the internet, I will post this up right now, but yeah, he comes back and he is all golden with his hair sticking up, and we're just going to call him the Golden Super Saiyan Atem. It's funny, beautiful, hilarious, every emotion at once just to see him back again. Now, he doesn't speak at all. Not a word. And he pretty much just demolishes this Yami Aigami that we're calling him in just one card. And the card that he chooses, it's excellent. It's the Dark Magician, but it's Mahado from ancient Egypt. That's really the Dark Magician form. So that's a really beautiful touch that they're bringing back, like these ancient Egypt little things that we saw in the final season. And at the very end, when everything is finished and done, and Yami and Yugi are just staring at each other, just for one last time. No words are spoken, but just the fact that they're looking at each other, you can feel just how proud they are of one another, especially Atem when he's looking at Yugi. You can just know that he's saying, "I'm so proud of you, how much you've grown as a duelist and as a person." Everyone get your tissues. Well, here's kind of the sad part, at least for Aigami and his friends, is that the Pharaoh did resurrect, even for just a moment before he disappeared completely once more. So in that respect, all of the power of the Plana with all these kids did disappear. Plana does not exist with them anymore. Aigami, Sarah, all of the other kids, it's pretty much just gone completely now. But really, they're fine with it. In some way, Yugi has taught them that they don't really need this power, that it can be used for evil, and one way it's just much better that we don't have it at all, that our world is fine just the way that it is. Why change it? Besides, a world without duel monsters? My, what will we all do? Play actual video games? But one of the last things that Kaiba says before he leaves them with Mokuba and just goes his separate way to do whatever, is that he has one more friendship speech. Yes, Kaiba and friendship don't go in the same sentence, but he says, "You have your bond with him and I have mine." So he admits it again in a roundabout way, just how important Atem was to him. So this is pretty much the end of the movie at this rate, but there's two little scenes kind of at the end. One which I don't really know why they put it in the movie. I guess is to just show that life is continuing on and everyone's going in their separate ways. Taya is pretty much at the airport, leaving to the United States, saying goodbye to all of her friends. Kind of an odd thing to make Taya the center of all of that, but heck. So now it's pretty much just a whole boy group. Taya is gone. And the big one, the last time we see Seto Kaiba, he is in another impressive outfit. It's the same outfit, but now he's glowing even more with more electrical poles or whatever. I can't even explain it. But he's in this vessel that, of course, he built, and it somehow travels through dimensions. And he's in it, he's getting ready to go, and Mokuba is on the screen, and this is very sad. Mokuba is trying to get a hold of him and saying, "You shouldn't do this, it's too dangerous, we haven't tested it." And Kaiba knows in some way. So he's going to go back to Egypt to see Atem and most likely not return. The last thing he says to Mokuba is, "Mokuba, you are in charge." Wow. I mean, way to be an ass. Mokuba has been there for you the whole entire time since season 1. And, I mean, granted, yeah, you gave him a bazillion badongadonk company, but all he really wanted was to be with his brother. And now the brother, Seto, still has not frickin' learned anything. He's still going after Atem after everything that has happened. So really, I feel very bad for Mokuba. Because of Seto being selfish as always, now Mokuba is pretty much taking over Kaiba Corporation. Because the last thing that we see is Seto arriving in ancient Egypt, going into the palace gates, and we see Atem rise from his throne and smile. It's a genuine smile to see Seto there. But you went all the way to the past. You are probably stuck there now, dead, however you want to interpret it. Or even in the afterlife. I don't know where the hell you are, but you ain't going back to Mokuba. It's open-ended. I mean, maybe he can come back for brunch and then go back and duel him again and again and again. It's a really weird fetish. But I mean, give me your opinion if you've seen the movie. Do you think Seto's in a way dead and not going back to his original time? In my opinion, yeah, I think he's just going to stay in the past. Don't know how that'll work out when he sees his past priest self, but I doubt that we're going to have any more Yu-Gi-Oh! Movies focused around the original series. I hope I'm wrong, though. We'd love another one. So really, that's a very long explanation on the movie and what I thought about it, but here are my final notes. Is that it really was a good movie, and others have agreed as well. Now, IMDb gave it an 8.1 out of 10. That's impressive for an anime that comes all the way from Japan over here to get that high of a score. Usually, they're not appreciated at all. So, automatically, I was blown away by that. So yes, I would even myself give it about an 8 out of 10. The only thing that really just bugs me are the English voices. I wish that they would have brought it over in the Japanese version, but I am just going to have to wait until I can get my hands on the actual Japanese DVD with English subtitles. Then it will be awesome, and I can compare the two and understand dimensional dueling, maybe. So a little bit more on the dueling is that the final duel with Yugi and Seto, those were the real rules of Duel Monsters. In that respect, I liked it. However, the whole dimensional dueling, the fact that you could just pick out a card and call it whatever attack that you wanted, within certain limits, of course. That kind of ruined the dueling aspect a bit for me, ruined the dueling part of the movie, so that's why I'm lowering the score a little bit. But what made this movie great is that it wasn't really completely focused on Atem. True, they were trying to get him back, but now we're looking at Yugi in his own dueling shoes and how he's growing up, as well as the struggles that Seto Kaiba is going through, losing Atem and the best duelist that he has ever known, and how he is dealing with it pretty badly. But it was also so interesting to go back and see all the characters and even get more info on some, like Bakura, for example. So Bakura was saved in the end thanks to Yugi dueling Aigami and releasing Bakura from his almost death trap in the dimension. But we get to see how he came into contact with the Millennium Ring and how that sort of corrupted him from such a small age. But another thing, since we're on the topic of random characters, we didn't see all the characters, and we were missing one big one. I was hoping Mai would be in there. I mean, sure, we probably know that she's off in a casino boat or something, living the glamour life or whatever, but I thought Joey and her had something going. I would have thought that they would have at least included a little snip shot of her in this movie. We got nothing. Art-wise, Kazuki Takahashi has come such a long way. He was already brilliant to begin with, but the artwork is phenomenal. The animation is stellar in this movie. And the flashbacks that you see with Aigami Bakura, for example, it's like a galaxy sky that you see, and also reflecting from the pools beneath on the surface level. It's so gorgeous. You'll see what I mean when you go and see the movie. Go and see it. And finally, story-wise, just the story's amazing because once again, it's focused on someone besides Atem. In that respect, it's 5 stars. It's a beautiful story that was well thought out, well planned, and a perfect way to kind of bid goodbye permanently, sadly, to the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Series. And it was a nice 20th anniversary edition for all the fans to see. But yes, if you could make another one, that'd be great as well. Hintity hint hint. Okay, I know it was a long review, but please, if you had to do this, I mean, there's so many things that you guys would probably say. I know there's a lot of things I left out. But finally, we're going to open this little pack and see the card. Now, I'm going to have to make sure that I don't cut the godforsaken card. Ugh, can you imagine? I'd have to go back tomorrow and do this all over again. And taking it out. There we go. Ooh, shiny. So there we go. We have Obelisk the Tormentor. Nice shiny metallic card. And this it's a limited edition, so it's already so precious to me that I went to the movies to see this, and I got an amazing card with it, so it'll be displayed right next to Seto, where it will stay forever and ever. Yay, Seto! You have your Obelisk the Tormentor God card again. Another thing that you'll notice in the movies is that the back of the cards are different. They sort of have more of a cyclone shape upon them, whereas this one, it's the regular Duel Monster card. And I'm pretty sure that in the tournaments you can't use this. Sorry if I'm wrong, but it's good for display next to a Seto Kaiba figure. Hintity hint hint. And that is all for this review on the Yu-Gi-Oh! Dark Side of Dimensions movie. It was a blast. I highly recommend it to all of you, especially the Yu-Gi-Oh! Fans out there. You will enjoy it. If you can get past the English voices, you will really just enjoy it completely. That was my only big diss on the whole entire movie. It's a great storyline. It'll make you smile. The puns are just hilarious all around, and just seeing all the characters grown up, it's absolutely amazing, at least for me. So more unboxings to come in the next few weeks. Just got 3 more today. I'm so behind. If you like this movie review that was super long, sorry. And anything else that I do, go ahead, smash the like button down there. Even better, subscribe to me. I will love you all forever. Love to entertain you all. More unboxing, speed drawings, cosplay projects to come in the near future. In the meantime, Yami Sorceress is out. All of you, go to the movies. Go pick up your own Obelisk the Tormentor card. And Yami Sorceress is out.